Anytime I talk to someone opening a hotel, I tell them to call Cintas. I've worked with them for years, and they're always leading the industry forward. And now, they're doing it again with Design Collective by Cintas. Gone are the days of all hotel employees looking exactly the same in outdated, mandated uniforms. Now, award-winning fashion designers at Design Collective by Cintas develop modern employee wardrobe collections. Retaining staff is about choice, and allowing employees to select garments they want is part of that choice. Employees love expressing their authentic selves, and now they can do it through apparel while their apparel stays on brand. A well-dressed team member is happier and more likely to deliver exceptional service while enhancing the overall hotel or casino experience. There is no other wardrobe collection like Design Collective. Their experience in design, along with their ability to actually implement the program, makes them the only company I'll call when it comes to employee apparel, period. Call them at 1-800-864-3676 or online at cintas.com/Design Collective.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.
Anthony, my man.
Nice shirt.
Thank you.
Tell everybody about the collar and what I had to do this morning.
All right, so we're here at HX, the Hotel Experience, presented by. We're recording in this particular episode in the show floor, and I've been telling Anthony I need to up my game with my clothes and stuff like that. And you, Anthony, are all about making sure those little details are taken care of. And we've been going back and forth about collar stays. And until today, I didn't appreciate the difference between the plastic ones that come with the new shirt and the metal ones. Well, Anthony hooked me up here, and my collar is nice and sharp, and I am feeling pretty damn confident now. Thank you, Anthony Melchiorri.
So I'm going to ask our guest,
yes,
which is better, the before or after picture of his collar?
All right, she's going to show you while
That's
you do
the
that.
before.
We're going to be welcoming to the
open.
show,
And
Mary
that's the
Beth
after.
Cutshall.
Oh, definitely after.
Doesn't he look sexy?
Absolutely. He looks sharp and buttoned up.
All right, so welcome to the show, Mary Beth Cutshall.
Thank you, Glenn.
Chief Development Officer with HVMG, Hospitality Ventures Management Group. So excited to have you on the show. We did a brief video together this year. We've done panels together, but this is the first time we're getting you on the podcast. I can't wait to learn all about you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Why does Chief Development Officer always get me, like, intimidated?
Oh, it
like
shouldn't.
that title is always so intimidating. Chief Development Officer.
I know, right?
Why does that sound so important?
I don't know. Why does it intimidate you?
We're
about connectivity and relationships and growth and making deals happen.
Okay.
So it should be a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I can change that perception paradigm for you.
So maybe.
Yeah.
But this morning I was trying to change the perception of Glenn, and I think it worked. So maybe you can change my perception.
Well, I really appreciate you changing the perception that people have about me. But let's talk about Mary Beth.
But hold on, before we do that,
Okay.
I got to tell you, Mary Beth, I'm very impressed today, Glenn. Not only he's got a new shirt, but this booth, this booth, like the real deal.
This is rocking. I mean, this is awesome. Well played.
New mics.
Yeah.
We got producers.
Yeah.
We got sound. We got lights. I'm like we got
Yeah.
postcards. This man is up in his game.
It's
I just
an A
can't-
game,
Right?
definitely.
I decided to move from half-assing to three-quarter-assing. So
Well, no, you're still half-assing because if he was three-quarter assing, he would have
We're
shaved
not-
this morning.
this is not shaving. This is
Glenn.
image.
This is Glenn. So what the hell do you do?
Oh, gosh, good question. So as the Chief Development Officer, I
Chiefly develop things.
chiefly develop things, exactly. So I work on the front end looking
Right.
for opportunities for organization to grow, basically. And that is done primarily through three conduits. It can be through acquisitions,
Right.
new development, and management. So we are constantly looking for properties to buy and opportunities to build hotels and create value through our management platform.
So let's set the stage real quick so people understand what the company is and how you relate to everything there. So you're an owner, operator,
That's right.
developer, as well as a third-party management company.
That's correct. We do it all.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a whole lot to take.
What's
to
your
take in.
biggest challenge when
Yeah.
it comes to the third-party operating?
I think our biggest challenge is that sometimes we're looked at as a commodity, and it's not, right? It's a people business. I think there is a perception by some ownership, not all, obviously, but some ownership of management companies all being the same. And I think what's happening these days is that commitment to the management companies getting shorter and shorter. And what gets forgotten is that there are people in our organization. There are people at the properties. This is their life. These are their jobs. And having some sense of security for that kind of commitment to that platform, to that organization is important to these people. We forget, I think sometimes the human aspect of it's starting to get forgotten. We're not a commodity, we're a partner.
Why do you think hoteliers think of it as a commodity? Because there are so many different companies with so many different points of view doing so many different things.
I think because there's so many these days, I think that's the challenge. It's kind of trying to differentiate yourself, right?
Can I tell you my opinion?
Sure.
Because I have a strong one.
I'd love to hear.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I started a new company called Hospitality Success. You can go to hospitalitysuccess.com based on this opinion. I think not saying yours because I don't know you or your company, but third-party management companies try to keep the general manager away from the owner. And when that happens,
Really?
yes. And when that happens, what I mean by that is everything's got to go through a vice president of a third party. And a general manager's opinion about their P&L or the budget, I've been in this situation, the P&L, the budget, or the CapEx may be different than the VP or the management companies, and it's being fed through the third party. And the third party sometimes is kind of trying to control the general manager. General manager gets frustrated, and the owner's getting a filtered view of what the general manager thinks. I'm not saying that's true in your company, but I think that's been the biggest frustration in management companies.
I think you're right. I think there are some institutional management companies, some very large ones out there, where their approach towards asset management or communication with their ownership groups is very rigid. At HVMG, we're not like that. We're the antithesis of that. Our general managers have direct conversations with the owners of our properties. We're completely transparent. That's part of our culture. We are all working together. But I think you're right. A lot of cases we have taken over hotels where that was the case, and the owner made a change. They wanted a company like HVMG, where there was trust and they could have that transparency. At the end of the day, this is their hotel. They're writing the big check. This is their livelihood. I can't imagine being an owner and someone telling me I can't walk onto the property and I can't have a direct conversation with the general manager. There should be nothing to hide.
Right.
Well, there's a person I hope is listening to this podcast that I will not name names, but he's now the chief operating officer of a major company in our industry, and he was my boss at the time. And I worked for the management company, but the owner knew me prior.
Right.
Long story short, I knew what the budget should be. I was general manager. I knew what the budget should be. I don't lie. I make every one of my budgets. I've never missed a budget ever. And if anybody does, they can go online and tell you that I'm full of shit. Because
you're not sandbagging your budgets.
I'll tell you.
No, it's funny you say that. Because,
I'm joking.
No, and that's I don't sandbag my budgets. What I do is I meet them.
Yes.
I meet exactly the budget I give you. I don't go lower or higher. So I had come up with a budget, and this gentleman said to me, we're not giving your budget. We're going to give our budget. I'm the asset manager. I'm your boss. This is the budget we're giving. And it was like 3% higher in RevPAR. And I was like, no. He goes, we'll adjust it. I said, no, I don't adjust budgets because that means I have to lay people off. I'm not doing that. And he goes, well, over my dead body. And guess what my word was to him?
Prepare to die?
I literally said there'll be a dead body in the room.
Yeah.
And then we got his boss on the phone.
Right.
Who's another big guy in the industry right now. And he said, after a good 20 minutes of serious arguments, and he told me to kind of be quiet. He said, get off your train. That's what he said to me. So I got off my train for a second, and at the end, I won. It was my budget. And he only came to me after the budget meeting, and he says, whose budget is this? I want to know, yours or theirs? I said, no, it's my budget. We came up together as a team, which wasn't true, but I lied and said we did as a team. He goes, okay, but you believe in this budget? I said 100%.
Right.
Like, that's the problem. That's what the problem I find. It's like general managers sometimes aren't strong enough. I have a big mouth. I always had a big mouth.
Right.
I'm not going to let anybody control me. So I was able to fight that fight. I think a lot of times in management companies, the general manager is going to listen to the management company and to their detriment. Again, there's there's a lot of good management companies out there, but there's got to be the communication between the general manager, the asset manager, the vice president of the management company, and the owner. It's got to be clear. It's got to be clean. And there's so much frustration, and that's why sometimes you see a lot of people jumping from hotel to hotel because they're trying to get out of those toxic environments.
Right.
I agree completely. Also, I think because we are also an owner as well as a third-party manager, we approach it differently. So we understand what the owner's perspective may be. When you're strictly third-party, when you're only focused on the fees, it's different. Oftentimes, we'll put money into the deals as well. So we're on the same side of the table. I think it's cultural, too. I think it drills deeper into the culture of that organization about, what they stand for, what are their core values. For us at HVMG, our core value is, doing what we say we're going to do, transparency and honesty.
How many hotels do you have?
We have 43 today.
How many under third-party management?
Probably about 35% are under third-party management. The rest we have an ownership interest in. And we have another 12 in the pipeline.
And who are the owners?
Various groups. Rockbridge Capital is a big owner. We've worked with Garrison over the years, the Carlyle Group.
So you put funds together?
We actually, for our where does our money come from? You're asking. Mm-hmm. It's typically friends and family. Some of the folks in the company, and then past investors.
Well, we don't Glenn's really wealthy.
Yeah, I got seriously. Yeah. I got upwards of $9 or $10 in my wallet. I'm ready to totally go in on this.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Glenn and I talked about this last year. Last year I started a side platform. That's separate from HVMG called Amara Capital. And it's something that I was passionate about starting and giving women an opportunity to be owners in the hotel business. And so it's a conduit for women investors, high net worth women investors to invest in hospitality and to create more diversity in ownership.
So how does that all work?
How does it work? How does that go about? The way it works right now at HVMG, obviously my hands are pretty deep in analyzing and finding opportunities and believing in those opportunities and personally even writing checks for those opportunities. And those deals that we are going to be involved with, we typically try to carve out a little piece for Amara. It's just really getting going now. And then I have my own circle of influence with friends and family and talk about the deal and they get in the game. So my mother was my first investor. It was
seriously?
Yeah. It was pretty. My 83-year-old mother was awesome.
Oh my God, how adorable!
I know, isn't it great?
Yeah.
It was symbolic.
An 83-year-old mother with cash.
And belief in her daughter, I think it was. Yeah.
Cash and believe in your daughter.
Yeah.
So I'm going to invite you to something. Every year I get invited to something called Hotelli Week at Cornell.
Oh, yeah.
The hotel kids come into New York City. I did it yesterday with my partner, Jeremy, and we talked to a lot of the hotel kids, freshmen and sophomores. And last year I had the vice president of Marriott on, who's Manny, who's a good friend of mine. Yesterday was my partner, Jeremy. She's been in the industry forever. And I'm going to invite you to be my partner next year and talking to the kids from Cornell because we get a lot of females and we get a lot of young ladies, Asian females that are very timid. And I'm saying that because they tell me that.
Oh, it's also very cultural.
It is.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to be sensitive. And they're very, and so when I bring in a female executive, they feel empowered. Mm-hmm. Oh, I can ask for something. I can step over a line. So I want to bring in a badass woman to talk to these hotel kids. And so you're my badass woman next year.
I would love to do that.
So it's about the same time of this convention. So
I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in. Another thing I want to share with you is about the Castell project. Does Anthony know about that?
No, he does not.
I don't know anything. He gives me hate.
And our listeners may very well not know about it either.
You're speaking to my passion here is about creating diversity.
I have 3 girls.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a daughter, Bella, lives in LA, does Teach for America. But I'm very passionate about diversity. I think it's healthy for our industry. So with a group of people led by Peggy Berg, we started a nonprofit called the Castell Project about 3 years ago. And the Castell Project's mission is to create more opportunities, learning opportunities for high potential women in the industry to be able to evolve in their career and get into the C-suite. Our goal is for 1 in every 3 C-suites in the hotel industry to be filled by a
love it.
woman.
Yeah.
We just finished up a refresh in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm on the board. We had a reoccurring graduating cohort come back, have some additional opportunities to hear speakers and learn some more information that can help accelerate their careers. A number of women that some of the cohorts that have already graduated in the past 3 years, a lot of them are being promoted. It's super exciting. And it's an area where I'm very passionate about is helping women maximize their opportunities, professional opportunities, and create more diversity, not only in ownership, but leadership organizations.
Do you think there'd
Yeah.
be some synergy with Mrs. Johnson from Salamander?
I think there would be a lot of synergy with her. Yeah, we should try to create a link there because
Yes.
she's totally into that.
That'd be
And
great.
You know who I'm talking about?
Sheila Johnson.
Sheila Johnson. Yes.
Talk
I don't
about a
know her,
badass
but
woman. Talk
Yeah,
about
we-
I
badass
would.
women.
Yes. I
Yeah,
would
we were
love
fortunate
that
enough
opportunity.
that we got to do an interview with her, and she was one of the most incredible, inspiring people.
I fell in love.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, this woman is like, talk about kind killers. This
Yeah.
woman, like, I remember exactly how I felt after the podcast. And I was just like, this woman is just a badass, and everything that she had to go through in her career, and it's just amazing. And she's still facing a lot of some of that stuff. And she's very inspiring and is very into trying to help female executives.
That's fantastic.
And minorities. And so I would love to put them two together.
I would love to meet her.
I want to learn a little bit more about you because
Yeah.
I've known you. It's probably 20 plus years at this point,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't really know where you came from. You were just there.
Sure.
Her mom and dad.
Yeah, right. All right. I didn't know we were going to go over the basics.
Well, it started on a cold night in New Hampshire.
Love is in the air.
Love
But-
is in the air.
All right, but I will say, I'm curious as to
Yeah.
what made you go down this particular path, and particularly development on the financial side of the business. Because
Yeah.
quite frankly, when I started coming to these events 20 plus years ago, when you went, public relations, marketing, and design was the domain of mostly women, not the financial
Human
side of the
resources,
business.
right.
So, a couple things. How did you get involved in it? And that, what a crazy experience that is to be so essentially alone out there.
Yeah, I've been a unicorn
Yeah.
for many years.
Yeah.
It's starting to get a little bit more
Much
folks
better.
are coming in. It's great.
But, hey,
We've got
listen,
our tribe.
Mary
Yeah,
Beth, this year at the lodging conference,
I know.
don't think I've ever seen so many women, and it was such a refreshing
it's
change.
so refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really great. So, long story short, it's a bit of a zigzag story, right? So I knew in high school I wanted to be in the hotel business. My dad was an airline pilot,
Right.
and we traveled all the time.
That's cool.
I thought I wanted to be an airline pilot. He's like, look, you're too similar to me, your personality. You're going to be super bored. I've got the golden handcuffs right now. You really need to do something else.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And
so
yeah.
he loved what he did, but felt limited.
He
by
felt
what
really
did.
limited, right? And he's supporting poor
Yeah.
kids, et cetera. So I knew I wanted to do something in the
I
travel
gotta
industry.
ask what airline before we
American.
move on. Okay, cool.
Back in the day,
Yeah, right.
they were rocking it back then. And so, long story short, I had a really good friend from high school. His name is Mark Dugas, Dugas Development. He owns the Cliff House in Maine and a bunch of
Ooh,
other
nice one.
hotels.
Yeah.
Got exposed to the hotel business through our friendship and went into hotel school.
Did you go to which hotel school?
I was at UNH, University of New Hampshire, for about a year and a half. It was 20 minutes from home. It was
Right.
way too close
That's
to
a-
home.
that-
So I transferred to UNLV.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
but that's a good school.
It's a
that
great
people don't
school.
talk about.
It's
they
a
talk about
great
UNLV
school.
and Cornell, but they don't talk about
UNH.
UNH.
UNH is a great school. And I think for me, the only reason I transferred was it was so close. It was like high school
Right, I
part
get it.
2. I
Yeah,
would go
right.
to the parties. Everybody from high school
You know
would
what's
be
so
there.
funny?
It's cool,
I was
too.
gonna. I was literally gonna guess that you went to UNLV.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was gonna guess
Why is that?
because there's a difference between, and it's not bad or good. It's just different from a Cornell person and a UNLV person.
Right.
The UNLV person is a little bit grittier.
Yep.
A Cornell person is a little bit more finance.
Right.
And not better or worse, but just
I
This
just
is
think
true.
I
I agree. We're a little bit entrepreneurial, I think.
Yeah,
Eric
right.
Jacobs at Marriott
Yeah.
went to UNLV. Same
really?
same class. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know who he is?
No.
He's a great development guy.
Why'd you know?
over there?
Why'd
Chief
you know I
develop-
didn't know who he was? Because I don't know anything.
No,
He's a big,
because
big guy.
I've known you long enough that I got that
you
vibe.
know
from
what
you.
Yeah.
I know and what I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, not like Mrs. Melchiorri, but I'm getting there.
He's the chief development officer for North America for Select Service for Marriott.
Okay.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, check him out on an interview I did on the No Vacancy show probably
Awesome.
about a year and a half ago. But all right,
Yeah.
so you graduate from UNLV, then what?
So very fortunate because at that time, Marriott owned a lot of their properties, and what you did was you did an ID program.
Right.
And if you did an ID program and you were successful, you automatically had a job going into your senior year. So I went back to my senior year after doing an ID program at Crystal City Gateway Marriott, and knew I had a job from Marriott. Awesome. Couldn't be a better experience. So my whole world, because UNLV was primarily operationally driven to what you're saying, was going to be my path. So started in F&B, front office operations. Somebody met me, a director of sales and marketing, said, "You've got a sales personality. Have you ever thought about it?" I was one of the earlier people that started off BTSM, business transient sales, when it was really first starting. Then went into Courtyard Regional Director of Sales. So I kind of did these different disciplines and zigging and zagging. And it was when I was a regional in Southern California for Courtyard that I met a woman whose husband was Jeff Lappin, who was at the time CEO of Hotel Investors Trust. And if you are familiar with that, that's HOT. That's HOT. Right. And about a year and a half going into that organization as the corporate director of sales and marketing. I was probably about 26, 27. I was very young. I had a portfolio of hotels, flying all over the country. Met a man named Barry Sternlick.
Oh, I know that guy.
Yeah.
I've never heard of him. I'm just kidding.
Barry Sternlick. He's in the restaurant business.
All right, so let's give a quick explanation of who Barry Sternlicht is for those that may not know. Got in there and started creating great brands. You might have heard of W Hotels, for example. Really reinvented Westin Hotels, introduced that heavenly bed kind of concept. Really, I think, reframed the entire hotel industry and changed everyone's perceptions from flowered bedspreads to being more lifestyle focused and cool.
Absolutely.
The bed's stupid. It's the bed stupid.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's so interesting. We've been in this industry forever, and it took Barry to come in, a finance guy, to come in and say, it's the bed stupid. And then every single bed that you sleep on today in hotel rooms, you can thank him.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, we needed that. We have the industry has had a mentality of kind of following the herd, and it's taken people to come in and disrupt it. We got a lot of that going on right now, which is super exciting. I think there's going to be a lot of change going on the next several years. So, long story short, Hotel Investors Trust was the platform that Starwood took off. It was a paired shared status REIT. I was very fortunate to be there at the time, and Barry came in, and that became the start of Starwood Lodging. That was at a time when I had just recently gotten married, was starting a family, so I stepped away from the corporate world for a number of years while my children were little. So this is an interesting story, to take a step back as a woman and then come back in, and I've talked to many women about that. How do you do it? For me, it wasn't a choice. I just knew that I couldn't keep traveling and be as involved as I wanted to as a parent and do both. So
that's a huge decision to make.
It was huge.
Because if you pull yourself out of the game for a number of years, you could totally sideline your whole career.
Absolutely. And in a sense, I probably did, because when I finally came back, it was interesting. When I finally came back, I came back to hotel equities with Fred Cerrone.
Right.
And that's when I got an opportunity to get in development. So really, Fred gave me a chance to serve in a role where I had no background for it whatsoever.
Wow.
He saw something in me, and I think primarily because of my sales background, the ability
to connect with people,
he would teach me the rest. So that's when I really got into third-party management, started understanding the real estate and the transactional side. And then I was with Hotel Equities, leading the growth of that company for about 6 years, and that then had an opportunity at HVMG, where I am now. I've been for 9 years, and came in as a VP, then SVP, recently promoted to EVP and Chief Development Officer.
Wow, I can't believe it's been 9 years.
I know, right?
Already. It just feels like 3.
I know, people don't ask me anymore, how's the new job?
Do you think being a female executive is obviously has challenges different than men, and men have different challenges than women, but do you think it's held you back, or you didn't know this? It's like, I'm a badass and I just did my job and I got promoted?
I'm sorry, what held me back?
Being a female executive.
I think it's, let's face it, there's unconscious bias. We all have it with all sorts of things that we're not aware of. I think I can attribute a lot of the success to the people around me. I don't think anybody gets anywhere by themselves. I had really pivotal sponsors and mentors in my career that saw my potential and were willing to help spend
Mostly
time
male
with
or
me.
female?
Both. I would say mostly men in the real estate transactional
Right.
side because
'Cause
there are
that's just
very
what it
few
was.
women.
Yeah.
Exactly. And really kind of saying, I see something with Mary Beth. I think she has potential to create value for this organization. I'm going to invest in her. I'm a pretty quick learn. I'm very curious. I was fascinated by the business. But also, too, I think my parents had real estate growing up. They would buy apartment buildings, condominiumize them in New England, and then sell them. So I was always around the kitchen table talking about real estate. So it was just
interesting.
it was a matter of when it was going to happen, right?
Right.
When I put the two together and the opportunity presented itself. So there are a lot of things I think I've had to overcome. I still have to overcome to this day because of conscious or unconscious bias. Being a woman, and let's face it, there are probably opportunities that presented themselves as well because I was one of the few women. So maybe I got a chance to be on that panel earlier than I would have because they wanted a woman. And that gave me exposure and the opportunity to create my personal brand, which is why I'm a big proponent of helping other women get on the podium whenever they can.
But what was it like being that unicorn, going to these financial events? I mean, how hard is it to feel like you fit in and join? Because I remember when I was early in my career, I felt like a total oddball, and it was really hard for me to make those connections. But I wonder if you felt even more isolated than someone like me.
I think it's really easy to feel isolated. I think it's like anything. It's the energy you bring to it and how you approach it. I have always been fascinated by people. I just have a natural curiosity to get to know a human being and understand what makes them tick and learn about who they are. And I think because of that, people open up to me because it's authentic, it's genuine, and we build a relationship. Relationships are very important to me.
I think there's a good opportunity for you to tell her about all your demons. I think she can help you.
We don't have that much time left on the SD card that we're recording to.
But people like to do business with people that they like, right?
And I want to bring us back to something.
Yeah.
Because you've had an incredible career. I can tell you square up on people. Like when you're looking at me, I feel like I better pay attention.
Yeah, right?
Oh gosh.
No, I love it. I love that energy.
I knew you guys would hit it off.
I feel her energy. I feel it like it goes through me. But getting back to a point that we were talking before about Barry and it's the bed stupid. The reason it's the bed stupid, and we forgot for 50 years that people spend most of their time in bed, right? Is because in the hotel business, you know what we did for a long, long time? We tried to get away with stuff.
Right.
That's what it was. Mm-hmm. We tried to get away because we basically sell this room. We don't know what happens in that room. And it's like, oh, they paid for it? Right? They're complaining on the comment card. Nobody sees it, so who cares? Right? It's like I'm in an A or B location, so I'm getting 90% occupancy, and I'm trying to get away with stuff. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, Barry comes and said, no, it's the bed stupid, it's the linen stupid. The internet hits at the same time, transparency, and that's the shift. But I think for a very long time, hoteliers try to get away with things. That's just my opinion. And I've seen it doing Hotel Impossible for all these years. I saw it. And people were trying just to get away. Well, I'm in an A market. I don't have to change the bed. I don't have to change the linen. So it's interesting to see where it's come. I just need to get that out.
No, I'm glad that you did. I'm a little disgusted by not changing the linen. But Mary,
I was going to say, I also think for a long time, the industry has been so homogenous when it comes to ownership. And let's face it, it's the tail that wags the dog, right?
Right.
It has been an industry that has been very much siloed, and the good thing about rinse and repeat is that you get your systems and your processes pretty tightened up, and the deliverables great. But the challenge with that is sometimes you're lacking fresh ideas and ingenuity or innovation. And I think what's happened over the past 15 years is there's a lot of innovation coming to the industry. There's a lot of new perspective. There's a lot of new ideas. And I think we've gotten more sophisticated. I think we've discovered that guests have different needs than we thought.
But we have. But I think what's happening and what I'm hearing over and over again is this decision by committee, and everything takes an hour and a half just to get it on the table, and then it takes a year and a half to get it off the table. I think that's killing our industry in a lot of sense. There's a lot of things that have, like I was just talking to a gentleman that sells pens to the industry, and he said, whereas before I went to the general manager, said, you like this pen? This is the price. No, it's too expensive. I'll give you a better price. Now I sold my pen, right? Now it's like 27,000 executives need to sign off on the pen. You got to get the designer to sign off on the pen. The asset manager's got to approve the price, and it takes you forever to get anything done.
I agree. I think that's another key component of being successful as an operator, as a management platform, is you need a nimble organization.
Right.
You need an organization that trusts hires the right general managers, make sure that they have the right culture in place that supports that general manager's success, so they're not holding them up.
So in your company,
Yes.
can a renegade general manager that's appropriate, but kind of a renegade, be successful?
Absolutely.
Where do I apply?
Let's talk after. I'd love to have you. It'd be great. Absolutely. I mean, you've got to have confidence you got to hire the right people and have confidence and allow them to make the decision, especially these days, right? You've got to be nimble. If you have too many layers, to your point, Anthony, you're going to slow the process down.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting to me. So, as the market has shifted, how has your job shifted, right?
Right.
You want to give everybody control. You want to make owners happy. You've got to bring all of these things together. It's got to be more than just transparency. It's got to be a lot more about really relationship building and all of that kind of stuff. So how do you make all of the different components stick together in a way that works?
The different components being
getting deals done. Yeah, I want to know what that deal process is like.
Sure.
How does it all happen? I see it from afar. I want to get a little bit more of the inside thing. Is it you bump into somebody? Is it you get referred to somebody? Do you have to sweet talk them for 3 years? What
yes, and yes. So a few different things. It's very driven by where we are in the cycle, right? So last year we had 24 deals. There were about 19 that we acquired. We had a robust acquisition year. It was fantastic. This year's
I also just want to make a note, because you had said you have 46 properties or something like that. They sell a lot of properties as well, which is why the number is not probably higher than your listeners might be perceiving.
Oh, sure. I mean, the past 9 years that I've been with HVMG, I've probably been involved in about $1.3 billion of real estate, over 100 deals.
Wow.
So there is, in part of the exit thesis is the exit, and that's when you create the value and you get part of the big payday, right? So, especially private equity.
Well, the entry thesis is the exit, right?
That's right. All right. Yeah, you got to know that. Yeah.
So back to how your strategy works and how it all comes together.
Yeah. So it's everything. It's relationships. Obviously, it's people who come knocking on your door, giving you a call, saying we've got a problem. Whoever we've got right now, the management company, they're not getting it. We know they're not finding all the value. We know there are things that they're not addressing. We can't get them to cure this challenge. We're ready to make a change.
Right.
It could be an acquisition opportunity where we're looking at a property and we're going to buy it, and we know that transitioning our management platform is going to create value, some kind of upside with revenue, market share, expense margins, whatever it might be.
Do you go in and flip them? Do you go in, see a undervalued?
We do. That's actually our sweet spot. We're really good at finding underperforming properties and
find me one, will you?
Oh yeah, I've got some. We should talk.
Really? No,
absolutely.
I'm serious. I'm an
I've got.
I need one.
Oh, do you? Okay, we should talk. We've got some stuff right now.
Oh, really?
They're hard to find right now, but we found some.
Okay.
And that's where the off-market deals
that's right.
all come from. We're making it one right now.
And that's relationships, right? So it's being someone that's got a reputation to get stuff done, to do what you say you're going to do, the ability to close the deal, and you have a organization that's going to deliver on the results. And I think it's about the reputation of HVMG as much as anything.
So I know this is kind of a cheat of a question, but how long does it take for deals to get done? I know some can happen overnight, some can happen years, but is there like a formula and an average that you see?
Yeah, I think today, right now, if you're talking acquisitions, let's say they're on market, you're probably going to be about 45 days from the announcement to call for offers.
Right.
You've got a couple of weeks of going through best and final, getting a PSA done. Once you've got the PSA done, you're probably under contract, I'd say, for doing your due diligence period for 30, 45 days. It used to be 60. It's really revved up. And then you've got a closing between 15 to 30 days, depending on how competitive this asset was and straightforward it is. If you've got to renegotiate a lease with the airport or there's some kind of big PIP, and you've got to get the brand there, I mean, that can slow the process down a little bit, and you work through that. So I would say anywhere between 60 to probably about 90 to 120 days for an acquisition. For development, it can be a year and a half to 2 years to 3 years.
Yeah,
the hairier, the longer.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. How do you build trust? What's your strategy?
You do what you say you're going to do, right? It's all about your personal reputation and your integrity and being upfront. Look, we're not perfect. Nobody is. And it's about being transparent about that. If we messed up, we're gonna talk about it. We're not gonna hide it from you. We're gonna fix it. It's the solution. It's being a good partner. It's like you would with any relationship. Do you have their back? Do you tell them the truth? Are you transparent? Do you approach it for the win-win? And I will say that, and when I look back on my career and being a unicorn, I do think in some ways I have approached some of the negotiations a little bit different because I'm a woman.
In what way?
I think about how I negotiate. I think I've always been driven towards finding the win-win. My collaboration has been about that versus a competitive collaboration. I think men and women can be different that way.
I agree.
Do you think that if I'm negotiating with a man, it may be like, okay, I'm squaring up on a guy and we're talking. If I'm dealing with a woman, maybe I feel a little bit more kind of not
depending on the woman, absolutely. I think if you and I are talking and working through something, and I spend the time to listen to find out what's important to you, I clarify that. You understand that I hear it, and we try to meet in the middle somewhere.
You know what she's saying, right?
That.
You know what she just said, right?
You suck?
No, that men don't listen.
Yeah. What was that?
I don't. Some men, maybe.
Most men don't.
I know you do, though. You
don't
would
ask
be where
my
you are.
No, but that's interesting, and I think in society we try to put everybody into the same bucket, and different people do things different ways, and there is definitely different by the way men are programmed, the way women are programmed.
Absolutely.
And I think we need to embrace our differences a little bit more in order to understand where the other side is coming from, in order to keep moving everything forward.
And that's why I think diversity in the C-suite is so important.
Yeah.
Any smart leader, and I look at my team. I've got the best team in the industry when it comes to underwriting. These guys are really different than I am, right? They bring something to the table. They bring a perspective, a thinking style that complements mine. So together we have a whole brain. Together we're looking at a big 360 analysis and making solid decisions. I think you want that in the C-suite. You're going to get that by gender and racial diversity as much as anything. And I think that's what we're seeing in the industry right now with all the disruptors coming in, all these creative people that are looking at it a little bit differently or challenging some of us, all of us, to get better at what we do.
So what do you say about, like right now, when we were growing up, I don't remember people calling me, a baby boomer or whatever I am, right? But now I don't remember that being held over my head.
I know. Are people calling you, hey, boomer?
Oh, that lady.
Yeah, exactly.
I just learned about that the other day.
I'm Gen X. I'm first year.
Right. So I'm probably Gen X.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that. I don't understand this generation divide that we have right now. I don't see it. I don't pay attention to it.
Right.
If you're young and you're going to kill, you're on my team.
Absolutely.
If you're old and you're going to kill, if you're black, you're white, you're green, you're yellow, even Glenn. Okay. So do you find that a lot of people talk about that and put that up as a wall?
I think it's going on. I think it's going on in our country, so I think that's a little bit of our environment
but do you
in general.
See it in just hiring, and do you see it in some people, maybe friends of yours, talking about kids today, everybody's on their phone, they don't look you in the eye? I don't find that.
My friends know, because my friends are a bit more open-minded about things. I have heard colleagues that are a little bit more conservative and stuck in the way it used to be and it needs to stay, a little bit more rigid, and I do hear those comments, and I hope that they quickly pivot because they need to change.
I tell you, I go through a WeWork building here in New York City, and I see a kid in the corner with it, up on a couch, in a comfortable couch with his legs crossed, transacting $1 billion worth of real estate, and he's sitting there, looked like he's Instagramming his friend.
Yeah, it's refreshing, and I think I love millennials. I think that they're giving some great perspective towards our industry. I think it's like anything. I think you've got to understand the value that anyone brings to an organization, what the organization needs, and value that diversity. People who don't, I think, are going to have a really hard time being successful because these are our future leaders. These are our associates in our hotels.
And you know what? I don't even think it's that. I think it's the Gen Z coming up now.
Gen Z, yeah.
I think those are the ones we have to watch out for because they're not asking for permission. They're not going to feel uncomfortable. They're not going to be like, the old guy is in the office and he thinks I should do this. Gen Z is going to be like, who are you? What do you want? What? No, wait, hold on. This is how I do things. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think they're going to see, this is the way we work now. I think that generation right before Gen Z was kind of acclimating and not really understand because we were just getting the technology. Gen Z grew up with the technology in their crib.
Yes,
they don't know anything.
And
that's right.
That's a difference in what we call digital immigrants, which are folks our age and a certain group of millennials, versus digital natives, the ones that were born with this technology.
You sound so smart. Every day
He
I'm
is
with
smart.
you. I'm so attracted to him right now. Like every day.
Okay, you too. Get a room.
I got the good collar now.
Every day I just learn. It's say it again because I want
digital immigrants versus digital natives.
I love that.
Yeah. So,
everybody write that down.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. And all of us as digital immigrants, we have to learn the ways of what this new world is. But the kids today are imbued with that ability to do it just naturally, organically, in this weird, mysterious sort of way. It's like, how the heck can my kids, when they were 3 years old, pick up an iPad and know what to do?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's crazy.
pretty amazing. Yeah. All right. So, what else about?
I was going to say something politically incorrect, but I won't.
Go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
I was going to say you don't need to build a wall between the immigrants and the natives. You don't have to build that wall.
Well, no, they could just cut right through it. Okay. So, I think we told a really good story here today, and I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. But I want to hear a little bit more about some inspiring words that you could give to folks that are still developing their careers, folks that haven't figured out exactly what they want to do, but have that passion for hospitality.
Yeah, so please stay in the business because we need you. We've got a talent crisis going on, and I think I would say there are people a little bit farther down the path. Find them, build a relationship with them, look for mentors, look for sponsors.
Let me interrupt you there because I think you just nailed it. We want to mentor.
We sure do.
I just invited you to Cornell next year. I want to mentor you. If I give you my cell number, use it.
Yes.
I give all these students my cell numbers. A lot of them use it, a lot of them don't. A lot of them use it and then they're one-hit wonders and they don't call me back. It's like, it's kind of like in TV right now. Regular TV doesn't exist really, but there's so much content that people need between Netflix and all these digital outlets that there's more content now than ever. Look at us. We're building content.
Yeah, right.
So producers, production companies, Walt Disney World, Netflix, they need content, right? So you just got to provide it, but it looks scary. Same thing with mentoring. We want to mentor you.
Absolutely.
You just got to put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
And I remember coming up, I was afraid. Somebody asked me today, what was your trajectory? What was your plan going forward? I'm like, not get fired and pay my rent.
Right.
Like nowadays, people are coming with a plan. Work that plan.
Absolutely. And to your point, Anthony, I think people need to recognize they have to be the CEO of their career. They've got to
Personal
drive
branding,
it.
you said it.
And that's something that I've always felt comfortable doing. And I thank my parents for raising me to be a woman that could walk into the room and feel like I should be there, right? I want others to do that. I want them to own their career, realize they're responsible. Nobody should have to tap them on the shoulder. They should go out seeking it, right? And explore.
And,
Totally.
and you know, when people say, well, the worst thing you can say is no. But you know what? No's scary.
You learn a lot from no.
You know, and I use it like when people approach me and for a picture, you can see the nervousness that they have. And
Oh
I don't
my
understand it. I don't understand it until I do it to somebody else that I like. Like the other day in the airport, I saw this guy, Ken Velasquez, who's a UFC fighter, and I was nervous.
Yeah.
And we both looked at each other, and we were like this.
Yeah.
We knew each other. He knew me from TV. I knew him from TV. But we were both nervous to approach each other. So I understand and get the nervousness, but there's so many different ways. If you can't find me on the internet, and I'm sure if I can't find you on the internet, I'm not looking.
Exactly. And I think that's a good point. You're encouraging people to own their career and to build those relationships and be authentic about it.
No one gives a shit until you make them give a shit.
Absolutely.
Period. End of story. Give you a quick example. I know I always interject my children, but my daughter's trying to get on the volleyball team for college. Long story short, she goes, I want to go to
Long story short, he just paid them off, and now he's going to...
Absolutely not. I would never do that.
Never.
But my point being is she's got to get on her own merits. And God forbid I did that, she would divorce
Yeah, for
me.
sure.
But my daughter said, hey, I want to go to the championship game. I want to watch the championship game. So we went last night. They won the championship. And my daughter went over to the coach real quick, said hello.
Right.
And she goes, we'll be in touch, whatever. My daughter goes home, and she didn't look at her email the last day or two. There was a email from the coach saying, hey, why don't you stop by the
That's
championship?
exciting.
So point being is like if she didn't
Yes.
take that
Yes.
initiative, she were at home and said, "Oh my God, I just screwed up."
You got to create your own opportunities.
100%.
You absolutely do.
Look at what Glenn's done.
Exactly.
In podcasting in the
Amazing.
industry.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But I think about like the younger kids and how I felt when I was younger and how I feel now. And I wish I knew when I was in my 20s or early 30s that older folks had been there. They got help coming up, and they want to share that as well. I thank all of those men and women that lifted me up throughout my career, that showed that they had confidence in what I could do. And there's nothing I like more than being able to share what I've learned and help pass it on to other people. It makes everybody feel good, and I think it just makes our business a better place.
And that's why I'm excited about the Castell Project, because it's bringing these senior leaders together, both men and women. Kirk Kinsell's on our board, who was the president of IHG several years ago.
Right.
We've got these really senior people. We've got graduates of the Castell cohort, and they're coming back together in a network, and they are creating opportunities for people to be mentored, to be sponsored. Our industry has a responsibility to create those opportunities. All of us that have been so fortunate with the successes that we have had, we need to give it back to this industry. So I think we all have to carve out a little time. And there are probably a lot of great people out there that have so much to give back that aren't really carving that time out.
And I think back when I was growing up in this industry, did I have mentors? Did I have people that took an interest in me? Yeah, more in the military than anywhere else, and because I was always kind of repositioning independent properties, and I didn't have a team. I had the owner who, just wanted me to turn it around, didn't ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's different. When I was growing up, to me, I didn't see a lot of people wanting to help me up. I had to knock the damn door down. Now I really see that we do want to help there because we've changed. I don't think the generation before us, I mean, they grew up, their parents were the World War II veterans, and it was a whole different world. It's like you got off the boat, you came here, the job in front of you is the job you did.
All right.
And then when they started, they had their parents with that attitude, and they changed a little bit. Now we're changing a little bit, and now the next generation will change a little bit. And, I think when you help, even if you lose a little bit by helping your competitor or by helping someone else that may even get your job, you win.
Right.
At the end, you never lose by helping people.
Agreed. And
even when you lose, you don't lose.
I think as leaders, we have a responsibility for succession planning, right? That they say that you should be able to leave your current position and your team do well without you. And I think the industry needs to look at that as well. There are a lot of people who are at the sunset of their career with big organizations in the industry that we know will be retiring in the next 3 to 5 years. I think there's going to be a real succession need. So I hope all these people, all these leaders look back and really leave a legacy and create an opportunity for the next generation to take over smoothly.
And when you say legacy, people think, well, this big legacy, I had to do some great things. Typically what I hear, whether it be for me, my friends, or younger people, it's usually a word. It's usually a moment. It's usually a breakfast. It's usually a lunch. It's usually a phone call. It's usually a text. It's not this that I am, all in all the time with you. It's I took a moment to say something that inspired you, and you remember that for 20 years.
It's so true. It's so true. So Fred Cerrone at Hotel Equities taught me that you never get a second chance to make a first impression. That will always stick with me as a core value.
Right.
Robert Cole at HVMG taught me.
I learned the same thing from Head and Shoulders commercials.
And Robert Cole taught me, we do what we say we're going to do. There are things that you learn from people that are your mentors that resonate, and you see them not only say it, but they live it. And they walk the path every day. And that's, to me, what leadership's all about.
Yeah. So a natural end is coming.
I know, right?
can feel
I'm feeling it too.
So we do something here on the podcast. Say, tell us something we don't know. But before we do that, I'm going to guess something.
Okay.
You played soccer.
Not
Wrong.
really.
All right.
Not really,
Did
yeah.
you play sport in college, high
I was
school?
more of, skiing at 3, flying planes at 10, scuba diving at 17, windsurfing. I was more that
Drop the
person.
mic. Drop the mic.
Yeah, but that's once again my
Going
upbringing.
back to badass, right?
Yeah, I
was flying planes. How old?
10.
So tell us something you don't know. That's right there. Go.
Yeah,
go.
that would be one. So we had a Cessna 150. My dad being a pilot, we had a little plane. He would take me out flying, and I had to put a pillow so I could see over the cockpit.
So at 10, you were flying planes.
Yeah.
Why not at 9? I thought you were, aggressive.
Well, I'm the youngest of 4. He had 3 before me, so I guess he had to take care of that. But something that people don't know about me, I have a foster dog and now adopted dog named Diesel, 125-pound black lab.
Woo!
Yeah, he was a rescue, and he's a sweetheart. So a lot of people don't know that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
People don't know that I have a Forster Glenn. So, Glenn, tell us something we don't know.
I guess I'll keep it to animals. I have my wife keeps bringing home cats, and I have more than I would like to.
How many?
To it, 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have allergic reaction because he has cats.
And he's not even in the house. I just like
The dander,
I just,
can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've started bathing. Anthony, tell us something we don't know about you.
That we are right now at the Jacob Javits Center.
Yep.
Now, to have an understanding of New York, and you know New York, and I've been doing this for a long time, the Jacob Javits Center, if you were in Midtown, was a different continent.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so 5 years ago, it's like, what's the Jacob Javits Center? Okay, I got to take a plane, I got to take a train to get there.
Right.
Now, Midtown has come to the Jacob Javits Center.
Right. Once that subway opened, it changed everything.
No, but also all the residents, all the hotels
That have all been built around
It's
it.
like, Times Square ended at 7th Avenue.
Yeah.
Times Square now ends at the river.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
And it's really incredible the vibe you get up on the west side now.
It's crazy. Hell's Kitchen has turned into who can afford to live here.
But this is what people want, right? They want live, work, play.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
ground zero. That's the future.
And the parking still sucks around here. Just FYI.
Not so surprised. So, Mary Beth, tell us how people can find you and HVMG.
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn and also at hvmg.com. We have a leadership page, or MB Cutshall at hvmg.com. So lots of ways to get me.
Beautiful. Anthony, how can we find you, sir?
42nd and 9th.
He made $20 this morning. He's very proud.
Anywhere you want to be on the internet at Anthony Hotels.
Great. And I am at Traveling Glenn, same place on the internet. Make sure you like our Facebook page for checking in with Anthony and Glenn, and our LinkedIn page as well. Check out the No Vacancy podcast with me, Glenn Haussman. I know they mentioned it a couple of times during this show. So check that show out as well as our rest of our shows. NoVacancyNews.com. Subscribe to everything by texting the word hotel to 66866. That's the word hotel to 66866. So for Mary Beth, Anthony, and myself, I want to thank you all for checking in.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.